you will just steer for it anyway, full steam ahead. Why? Because you want to sink. You gave up.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the planet. Not giving up. Revolution Radio. Radio.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed. People working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country was founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined by the banks. Open your eyes to banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Who? Thomas Jefferson. Because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said. He also said that every generation needs a revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that. Just a dream. War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means. This is our bank. This is our war. And this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio! The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Insanity runs in my family. Practically gallops.
No stems, no seeds that you don't need. Acapulco Gold is.
This is the most acid I've ever seen anybody eat in my life. Wow, man.
Fireball!
Why don't you get a job, Crowley?
What for?
You need money.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. And now it's time for that feral hippie herself, an infotartic, esoteric, eclectic mix of the adventures of that feral hippie, Miss Mona Radler.
What are you people? On dope?
That was my skull! I'm so wasted!
Make a move and the bunny gets it.
Dave's not here.
All right, Mona, it's all yours. Take it away.
Yeah, I had to have a hit right before I came on, right? Oh my gosh, what's she doing to herself? Welcome, we're here at freedomslips.com, revolution.radio, and Aggie Shack. So keep in mind, we're listener-supported, and we appreciate all you people with those ears out there trying to keep up on things that are going on or whatever else we flap our lips about. Don't forget, we also have archives. Pretty decent deal for all the different shows we have. Like ones on Saturday. Anyway. to the point of, okay, and don't forget your seed packs. Heirloom seeds, pretty decent, can share them generation wide. And send some to friends, huh, Bridgette?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I hear you well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, nope. We want those. We want you to be planting seeds. Everybody on Earth needs to become Johnny Appleseed. Start regenerating this planet.
Or Sarah Strawberry Sower.
What?
Sarah, the Strawberry Sower.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, SSS anyway. Okay. So how'd your day work out yesterday?
Day was good. I had a client for 2 hours. I did a consultation, a shamanism consultation here locally in town. And you know, it's like counseling as well, because as you're doing these things, or you're teaching people how to clean or clear, you know, using different things or houses, they have a lot of stuff that comes up. And sometimes people, the one person I'm working with right now, she gets kind of a like a Alzheimer cycle. So when she's, you know, moving through stuff and clearing the house, and once she gets things cleared, then she's like clearer than she ever has been. But it's interesting how, you know, where everybody's we call it their light switch goes off, right? So those patterns. But anyway, so you've got to get people through that stuff, you know, as well. Heal their past so that they can heal their now, so that they can step into the future.
Yeah, right. Try anyway.
Yeah.
We don't want to get stuck like a clog somewhere. I would rather not anyway. But you don't think some of this stuff is astrologically imposed as well?
Well, this is the thing. As a free being, we would have to say that there's nothing that really should have any kind of effect on us on this planet as supreme beings.
Well,
so,
good luck with that.
Right. But you have to teach people about the polarity first, and then how to work in the polarity, and then you can teach them the next level, which is...
All right. Well, explain your idea or notion of what a polarity is. To me, would that be just an equal balance?
Well, polarity is what we have. This is the software basically that's running here, and so polarity is saint, sinner, light, dark, and it's a very two-sided system. So if we look at the U.S. government, we have two-party system, seesaw, right? But it's all the same thing at the same time, right?
Yeah, they beat up the third system that was supposed to come and help, you know, play the triangle, the trinity, instead of the duality, but we see where that goes.
Yeah, and that's the thing, polarity, you know, that duality, things like that. So in my, you know, in the work that I've studied with native teachers, it becomes more out of the polarity into, you know, the four, which is, you know, foundation and looking at your life from a perspective of that.
Yeah, that's the crossroads.
So there's instead of two, there's a seesaw that's going on, but it's difficult because we're so knee-jerk reaction towards everything we see. And it doesn't even matter if it's positive or negative. Some of my teachers, you know, said, you know, by praying for people who didn't ask you really to pray for them, you know, you could curse them, even though you think you're praying for them and you know, to regain their health or whatever else. But what if that's not really what they want?
Right. Oh, yes.
Right.
I've been down that road physically with quite a few different folks that I've tried to assist. You're so right.
Yeah. So, but that it's a lot of it has to do with that polarity and us not being able to. Well, the one major thing about the four, you know, when you step out, you got the four seasons, you got the four directions. You have each direction you know, in ceremonies, you know, usually they have gates.
Right,
sometimes
the east.
Native people consider them different gates. So, and so different gates of perception, where your past is, you know, where your future may be headed, a lot of these different things. But when you have the four, you can actually put yourself into the center of it. Where when you're a 2, you're either on one side or the other in the seesaw polarity duality.
But if you put yourself in the center of those cardinal points, aren't you making a pyramid? Because a pyramid has 5 points.
I got a kind of a funny story about that.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, go for it.
So a lot of my early teachers were always talking to me about, the 7 directions and working on like 7 directional prayer and, things like that. And, when you're younger, you're like, you take in the information, but it takes you a while to actually practice it.
Or it connects with something that is time to turn on.
Yeah, but the other thing too is now I use this kind of stuff like a 7 directional prayer or a 4 directional prayer or whatever.
Right.
I use it all the time. I use prayer when I get up. About the day. I use prayer. In ceremony. This year, 2018 was my year of ceremony. Huh? And so all these things have been like hitting me, and I have to like stand my ground and do my ceremony, right? Because I promised I'm doing it this year.
Yeah, watch what you ask for.
Yeah, so I kind of poo-pooed the 7 directions, and I wasn't really working with them. So 25 years later, this is, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something. So I'm like, okay, going through a really tough time, and I really feel like I'm totally disconnected from everything. And I'm thinking, okay, 7 directional prayer will it'll hook me in, right? So 7 directional prayer, is the directions, the earth, the ancestors, which are above you, and then there's another component. The 7th part is I just go in my heart. But you can bring yourself into it or the creator into it, or sometimes I just bring both. I bring the creator into my heart, and then, bam. But so upon this time, after 25 years of poo-pooing this practice and really needing it to work, I did it. And all of a sudden, when that energy from the earth and all the directions, it spins, right? So you're going into it clockwise, and so you start to spin those directions. And then it goes into your feet to the earth, then you're grounding, right? So you've got a pivot point. And then you go to the ancestors and the cosmos, and that's where you really ignite. But bam, the energy just broadens out. And then when you connect it there in your heart, with you and the creator and all of it, boom. Like it's like a big boom, and you become like this giant vortex of energy. And that's what happened to me. And I went out of my body, and I saw myself from outside of the planet, and then I came back, and I was like, that is why you're supposed to do the 7 directional practice, right? Is because so that you can ignite yourself, into a full-on operating vortex. So every time you do it, that's what you're doing. So you release all the blocks in you and outside of you.
Yes. Some call it the Merkaba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyway, so this is the, I think you probably have had experiences like that. Some of the greatest teachings.
Yeah, I was just remembering the one when you explained that.
Yeah, some of the greatest teachings I've ever had have been so simple that I haven't really spent a lot of time with them. And then when I did, they were so humble and simple, and then when I did spend time with them, they were the hugest, like, life-altering, experiences.
Yep. Only because you released the limitation that you put yourself under by not following your own prerequisite.
Yeah.
Because, it's all a cycle. You're not going to be able to compost as well in the frozen as you are in the unfrozen.
No, that's another thing, too, I've been really working with in the last couple months is, in a lot of the shamanism work I was doing, I didn't really have a lot of medicines that were built that were... And I didn't really understand the importance even inside of a house energetically, to have a plant or two, that grows, then may grow a flower, then it drops its flower, and then it goes into a dormant cycle. And I've been really, with all the farming stuff I've done the last 2 months, I've really seen how important that kind of energy is also in a part inside your house to kind of help give your house like a living energy, if the plant has all those different cycles.
Right.
And those cycles are super important, every single one of them.
It is an interesting phenomenon if we actually saw the energetic things that happen to the material world as we go through it. I mean, it would get people a whole lot off themselves, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've had some pretty life-altering experiences with that. Especially, I took these, if anybody ever gets a chance to attend any of the Steiner colleges, I think the last one's Pfeiffer in New York. The one here in Sacramento closed. It was a gym. So sad.
Well, they don't want people to know the truth,
Mm-hmm.
How could we... Ugh.
I tell anybody that if you get a chance, if they have a phenomenology course, it's usually a year long, that you should take it. It will blow your mind.
Yeah, but if you find any books, grab them now, because they're burning books. They're eliminating all the best history and information for decades now. I used to go scour the old ancient bookstores just for those books.
Well, sometimes, Goodwill gets a whole bunch of them. So I go over there periodically, and sometimes they get some really old stuff. I've picked up some pretty really cool stuff. Old books on algae. And these are like people that had a different kinds of intelligence.
Well, they weren't selling their soul to the corporation.
Exactly. Yeah, and they weren't one-trick ponies either, right? A lot of people have a one-trick. Instead of, because, think about that. Don't be a jack of all trades, be a master. This is kind of a enslavement, statement that we grow up with and pattern.
I like knowing a lot of different things.
Me too. I would go crazy. I would be suicidal if I didn't have...
I know, right? How could you be so straight-lined? And in fact, anybody says, well, do I go straight? I always say, no, you go forward.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I was going to tell people this morning, about, I don't know, early, maybe like 4. So lately, there's been this really intense energy, and I'm one of those kinds of things that while here, I end up clearing group consciousness. So if I get sick, I get a disease, I get, like this morning, I got really, really bad lower back pain. Bad lower back pain. And so I kind of had to do some delta brainwave pattern work with it to get it to release. So when it was coming on, though, I could feel like rage, and a lot of anger. And it seems like it was really targeting females, right?
Huh.
So it was something that was cleared. So if people started feeling better, it would be like around, maybe about 10 a.m. Pacific. It's because all of it released. It took me quite a while. So there are energies, that are being released.
So how are you doing the releasing? You say that you went and helped somebody etherically clean their abode and teach them how to do it. Now, how would you do that? Because you're considering you affected the planet, not just yourself.
Yeah. What do you mean, how do I do it? Well, usually it comes on. So whenever I get sick or I have pain, chemtrails is a little bit different because there's nanotechnology that's really affecting me and making me,
Well, but how did you cleanse it? How did you put it back forward when you were feeling so reversed?
You mean this morning when I had a lot of pain?
Yeah, you did your 7 directions and...
No, actually, by the time it hit me, it was so intense that I just laid on the floor on my yoga mat and corpse. And then I just really focused in on not paying attention to what was going on around me.
Right.
And just really started to focus in on breathing and letting that pain go and letting whatever kind of shift needed to happen in my pelvis.
Right.
So I just worked with that. It took me about 3 hours to get, I'd say 95% of it released. But there was a point when I was going into it where there was just anger. I mean, like, you know, rage and just a lot of, and maybe this is it, male energy towards females, because a lot of the stuff was a female pelvis energy.
Well, the one thing I thought of when you first said that, excuse me, are you near any cell towers?
Not anymore.
So you're away from the electronic influence.
And the 5G, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
huh.
I mean, there is some smart meter stuff here, but not nearly as bad as when I was living in town. When I was living in town, I was living in a building that had like 150 smart meters, like 4 doors.
Oh, don't make me cringe. Ooh.
Yeah, and I didn't sleep, and I was surprised I kept it together as good as I...
Really, right?
You know?
Yes, I do. I get the drift totally.
So, but, yeah. So anyway, so I just wanted to let people know that a lot of that energy, you know, lately I got really sick with the nano. It took me like 7 weeks to stop coughing, or even slowly stop coughing up stuff. But they also took it as an opportunity to release stuff along the way.
True.
But things are, you know, I'm getting better and better and better. And because I'm starting to realize, like, some of us are altars. You know, like in ceremonies, you know, you would put your, you know, concerns, or, you know, people who are ill, or, you know, things that you don't really know how to deal with, or pictures of people you're in relationships with that you need to heal. So you'd put stuff like that on an altar, you know, with all your medicines, you know,
right,
sage and your tobaccos and everything. And so I'm starting to realize some of us are like an altar. Our bodies are like, for some reason, an altar where we process a lot of the stuff that's going on the planet.
So do our animals.
Yeah, but a lot of us don't know what's happening, and so we label things like chronic pain, and so instead of it's just you needing to release energy.
Or just step back and stop like you did.
Yeah, well, sometimes, you know, it gets so... I like it to be fast, furious, and over.
Yeah, well,
I don't like it to be, you know, like long-term for months. I've tried that kind of process.
Yeah, totally.
So I'd rather be laid out and just, you know, in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And get it done. And I feel better. And this is, too, my teacher, Bavdo. He used to say that, you know, basically in us is the same as on Earth. So when we heal, say, our personal cancer, somewhere on Earth, that energy that's being held is released for the Earth and for the benefit of everybody, right?
Right.
But some of us get like the reverse, where, you know, we, I think, become kind of the Earth, and then all that energy that's kind of affecting it. And then we end up clearing it.
I just had an interesting notion.
What?
Now, through the Tai Chi and different origins of those facilities, we have a cord that wraps around the center of our planet, us, each individual, right? And then people are grounded through each bottom of the foot, like a U. That is the pure ground. Uh-huh. And so the cord is right at the root chakra. It's a black color. It's not the red. And then when I think, and they say, well, give your troubles to Mother Earth, and I'm like going, but shouldn't I shoot them out to space? Because that dimensional realm has more of not having to respond. Because if Mother Earth is truly alive, like I think she is, why would I want to send her more shit?
Okay, but why would you... Okay, so the thing is our ancestors lived past this planet. And a lot of other beings that are negative that would like to pick up on negative energy that we're shooting out there, as a result coming here and trying to occupy. I think that
what do you mean occupy?
Well, we attract. What we send out, we attract.
Right.
So if we send out all this stressed out fear energy or whatever else to get rid of it, to release it, then we're attracting something out there that's going to like it and benefit from it. And they may not be very good.
Wow.
I mean, they're saying that some of the...
I do not want to believe that my oversoul and my conscious Christ self to the point of where I am with Source has ugly playing around with it. Yeah, I can see the other 10 dimensions, okay? But I cannot see the true vital source that is our crown chakra that goes straight to there.
Okay,
but I believe what you're saying because I've gone through a lot of the same teachings, but it came into my mind because if we're living in a reversed reality, because everything is reversed, for the illusion to what supposedly is the Matrix. So that's all I thought is,
Yeah.
Why not send it out there? Because they're already collecting it on the loose here. Why would I want to put here, more negative into the ground when, what you did was heal her from it?
Yeah. Well, this is the deal, but that's where I'm working at. But you could do, instead of sending the energy somewhere else. Oh.
Yeah, first
we'll be back.
Go to the stretch. Thanks, and you were right.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
What the heck is the truth jihad? Hey, I'm Kevin Barrett, host of Truth Jihad Radio. Federal prosecutors, Department of Homeland Security agents, and curious passersby often ask me, just what is this truth jihad thing anyway? Well, everybody knows what truth is, but jihad is a misunderstood term. Jihad means effort or struggle. The greater jihad is the struggle to be a better person, while the lesser jihad is the struggle to defend the community. Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, did say that the best jihad is a word of truth flung in the face of a tyrant. And that's what we do here at Truth Jihad Radio. Every Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 7 Pacific, right here on Revolution Radio.
We talk about decentralization and bank annihilation. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Moneycoin, your coin, blockchain, baby. Mondays at 1600 hours Eastern, Studio A.
Find some comfort at Willow's World. A variety of news, commentary and poetry at Willow's Poetry Corner, where there are comfy cushions and a tempting selection of delectable comestibles. A show that's quirkily and quintessentially British, with a unique twist featuring Willow Andreasen, your host. Join Willow, Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. EST, Studio B.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Yes, we're back. But what I was considering is, aren't we here if we're the conduits that if we can release, resolve, and relinquish it, we don't have to give it to either side?
Exactly. But the thing is that it takes a while to get there. You remember we talked about those levels. You know, first you got to teach people about the polarity and how to work with it, and then you teach them, like, you know, you're a divine being and nothing has any power over you.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, well, I try to work
use
that
your
all
power
the time.
and use your power. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a lifetime lesson.
It's moment by moment, honey. Are you kidding?
No, but it's lifetime. You know, that's what I think. I don't know. Sometimes I think.
Well, it's good to give an honor to what it is that we can still consider not 100% fact. That we can open our minds enough to see that the pi ratio is how many directions or perspectives you can actually acquire through these things.
Yeah.
That's, to me, the fun of it.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to teach your listeners something.
Okay.
So, if you're in the polarity, right, and you're learning how to work with the polarity, there is something that I've been using for a really, really long time. I call it the etheric smudge pot. And instead of, you know, putting your energy anywhere other than yourself, I'm going to tell you how to make the smudge spot so that you can allow the smudge pot to actually collect it away from you and burn it up. Okay? All right. So I go to garage sales and I get old, you know, copper bottom pots. Those are my favorite. The little ones with the nice little handles and a lid. So you want a lid.
Like a little kettle kind of thing?
Yeah, and so that it has a lid and you can, you know, stump it out if you need to, and it has a handle. If it gets hot, you need to carry it around. But I use that as a smudge pot. I found that for me, sometimes when I have to go on location and there's a lot of really, really intense energy, sometimes when I get to that energy, it will like eat up all the smudge I have in the pot, and the pot will get super red hot. So I like to have that handle that I can hold on to. And then I like to have the lid to control the fire a little bit. I don't really try to control the fire, but I don't want other people to be scared, you know, when this is happening or, you know.
Oh yes, I do know.
And so I like the pots. I like the little small pots, and I look for garage sales for them with good fitting lids. Not glass lids. You want a nice little metal lid. Steel, non-aluminum. Aluminum's going to be really toxic. You start heating it up. And no Teflon or any of that stuff. So those are what you need. Now, what you need inside is you need some Dead Sea, like rock type salt. You need you know, the magnesium. What's it called? The foot bath stuff.
Epsom salt.
Yeah, you need Epsom salt. You need rubbing alcohol. 70 is fine. 90, and you're gonna need some, you know, white sage, tobacco, and that's probably about it. So basically, in the very bottom of the pan, we'll say, you know, maybe the bottom, you know, 5% of the pan, you're gonna fill in with Epsom salts and some rock salt. And then you're going to put alcohol until it's a little bit above that. But you want to make sure that the Epsom salts and the salt is covering the whole bottom. It has to be covered. Because this is going to be one of the disinfecting, you know, energy disinfecting things about this. Mm-hmm. And then put alcohol over it. And then you're going to put your smudge in there. You know, you're going to thank it. And if you go buy smudge and stuff like that, make sure you thank it. You know, when you pick it up, thank you. You know, thank you for whatever. Thank you. So that way, you know, you're honoring your medicines before you're using it. Sometimes I'll say thank you to the alcohol, you know, Epsom salts. Sometimes I thank it all once I get it in the pot. But you want to have that, you know, thanking it, because, you know, in the polarity, if you're thanking something for something, then something turned your way, right? If
gratitude is very vital. You're right.
Yeah. So you got to have that thank you in there. So then you know, crunch up your smudge, put it in there because it's going to help to disinfect and clean. And then, you know, I take a real big bulk tobacco. It's got to be pretty dry. And my ceremony tobacco, and then I hold it in my left hand because it goes to your heart, and you put your right hand above it and you cup it, and then you align your mind and heart, and then you pray into it through your heart into your hands, and then you release your prayer into the smudge pot. So, for example, your prayer should be, thank you for the knowledge and wisdom of my next step. It should never be like, please take away this anger. It should never be anything like that. It should be like, thank you for your help and assistance with giving me the knowledge to, help to clear myself. And thank you for helping to clear me, something like that. Anyway, then what you do is this with the alcohol in it, what you want to do is you're going to want to find a safe area. You're going to want to put a rock or a hot pad underneath the pan. You're going to sit it on the floor. You're going to sit, figure out where you'd like to be, north, south, east, west. Even if there's a specific, like you feel there's a power place in the house, say you feel stronger in the kitchen, or you're in the kitchen the most. That would be a good area to do that. And then you are going to sit by the pot, and then you're going to thank it all, everything in there. And you're going to throw the match in, and you're going to light it. And it's going to have a pretty good flame on it. But every time I do these smudge pots, the flame always is different colors. It depends on what it's working on. And you can see it lick out. You can see like almost hands sometimes reaching out around and grabbing things out of the air. And you can feel it. You can start to feel it in your head. Like you start to kind of go, woo, because you can feel like it's pulling all this energy out and clearing it and around in that environment. But be really careful. Make sure you have your lid if you get scared. But don't move it. Leave it alone. The best thing to do is to really let it burn down until there's nothing. There's no smoke. There's no nothing. There's no amber. And then what you want to do is you want to clear it with water. So I'll usually I actually put it down. I'll either bury it if I'm at a place where I can bury it, at the person's house in the ground, and then the ground will finish doing the rest of the work. And because a lot of the energy's already really been contained and sterilized, so there's not a lot of debris. Or if I have to, I will put it down the toilet. I'll keep rinsing it and pouring it down the toilet because I don't want to touch it, so I make sure and hold that handle. And then just keep swishing it until it releases from the pan. You don't have to chisel at it or anything like that. Just allow it to release itself. And then that's it. And then you can, be on your way. But it does amazing things. I've seen it do just unbelievable things with energy. Then we don't have to send it, transmit it. We don't have to do anything like that. And it's a good way to go through your whole house and clean every room. You got Boogie.
Yep, and remember to open the closet doors.
Yeah, you got boogies. So, dealing with the polarity, there are different tools and skills that we need. Then, when we finally get who and what we are, then we don't really need any of it. And none of it really affects us. It affects us less and less and less. So anyway.
It is a rather interesting feeling after knowing all of those other direct emotions and equations that could set us off. So yeah, I agree. I use an abalone shell, beautiful big one of the first original ones, because you won't find them anymore. We've raped so much off this poor planet.
Well, Brian Hummel said when he did my show, he restores large pieces of land. He said that the beavers were 200 pounds. And they were total water engineers, and they would create meadows. They managed these natural areas perfectly. But 200 pounds.
Not the little ones we have now.
Yeah.
No.
Just like your shell.
Are you serious?
The ones we have now are like the size of a cat.
Oh my goodness, because I love beavers. Well, I love all creatures, but and Anyway, yeah, I would love to have a spot to know that I had beavers around. Good medicine. Really good medicine. Yeah, that was a good show. You do good shows on Saturday, even though you're talking. Oh, I wish people would quit judging themselves.
I know. Well, I love when I have I love when I have Janie on, and I love when we have a guest on as well, because we're only doing people that we really have an interest in, or we really feel like the world should know this person, kind of a thing. So, but then that means that sometimes I have to do shows by myself. But after starting next week, Janie will be pretty much full time. She'll be done with her permaculture stuff, and so
Sweet.
Anyway, yeah. So this week I'm talking about how the brain works and how it works with the body, and I'm probably talk about some other health stuff. And
when you remember to own it and not let it be programmed and swayed from things outside yourself. My one girlfriend came up to get her cleaning and clearing. It was a great weekend, a couple days. And she came to find out that she'll go, squirrel! Just okay, the attention got moved so fast that a lot of people won't recognize it, and that's what confuses them. But she's learned to recognize that she can maintain her thinking and not just let it fly off the handle. So that's cool. It is doable.
Yeah. No, the thing is that we just have to slow down more and pay attention to how we feel. Good, bad, ugly, and different. And as we deal with the stuff that comes up that we don't like, eventually we will have less and less of that coming from the inside if we face it and deal with it.
Well, the thing that's been rough for me is recognizing that when I hear the things I've worked so hard to eliminate out of my existence, because I know the creation factors, and just not letting it affect me. Okay, I was on a big old kick one day because we have been taught and programmed not to claim our children as our children. We call them kids, which are baby goats. And I didn't raise baby goats. I've raised children. And so just because the creativity of it is, we make light of things thinking that that's the true verbiage that we should be using to create. It's even happening in the shows and others, and I'm thinking, boy, that's really slow and dumb of us. If we can't just claim the children in the correct form and manner, what are we giving them? Not much respect. But that's the way I feel about that. And we need to recognize those small things for the powers that are basically creating existence. And I don't want to be part of a herd or a flock or whatever.
Well, yeah. Well, but the kids become when you call them kids, they become the sacrificial goats, right?
Aww. Now you had to add that to it. Oh, no!
Just throw you a curveball.
I know.
Well, I had a friend of mine say, the truth will set you free and make you terribly miserable.
Only if you allow it.
Yeah.
But
sometimes in the beginning it does, though.
Oh, sure it does. It puts you on the floor to your fetal position. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so, hey, I'm going to send you a link. Are you sharing stuff on your feed?
I'm on 2 chats.
All right.
I'm
going to share you this video. Okay, so this is kind of like the video, if people want to watch it, later on, it is whoever did it had to be native, whoever, worked on the project of putting the visual parts together. But it goes through and kind of shows you power, you know what I mean? Like if you, like we were talking about it, if we could see it, right? We could see our energy. Anyway, it's a really, really cool video. It's amazing, and it has all this, you know, undercurrent symbology, which is rockin'. But it's the Skrillex and Damian Marley, who was Bob Marley's grandson, and they worked on this song. And even though it's the boom dim, I think is what they say, to me, every time I hear it, I think the sun dance. So I could add in my own little, like, you know, I'm not sure what they say on that part. But I look at it.
Well, go to lyrics of songs. They'll probably have it on Google somewhere.
Yeah, it's probably in my own mind. No, but anyway, but it's a song that talks about, you know, the spiritual power, you know, and what it looks like energetically, and where we're at with how we operate in the world, or we choose to operate in the world. So anyway, anybody out there that hasn't seen it, it's fantastic. Every time I watch it, I get like total goosebumps and like inspired, you know? Yeah. And yeah, I just love the whole thing. It's awesome. It's an awesome video. So when you know you're fully empowered, you know you're fully empowered.
All right. Well, I just shared it 3 different ways. So.
All right. Well, hopefully people can watch it. They'll love it. Okay. So,
well, you were talking about the mind, and wasn't it your mind that did most of the changes of your challenges? Like, I know that's probably part of what's happened with me, but I don't even know your birthday, so astrologically I can't calculate who you are.
You don't know me. You don't know me astrologically? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I cannot do as per se, but to
my birth data offline,
okay.
Or, you know, on Skype message, and you can,
no problem.
You can know me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I have an intense chart. Astrologers, you know, have been a little bit intimidated by it. It's a very death and resurrection chart.
Why would that be intimidating?
Well, I think it's because Pluto's involved, right on my ascendant. So, you know, my whole life, I've been killed and come back to life.
You're the composter. You take life and from where it died and till it over. So what? Big deal. What?
I know. Well, it's tough for people. It can be a little challenging and disturbing. No, I have this.
I get the drift totally. It can scare a few. But the tarot readings are even more funner when you get to where their little spots of epiphanies turn on and they run from you.
Yeah.
Hey, you owe me for that? Oh, never mind.
Yeah. So, okay. So I was going to talk about...
Well, what was on your show last week?
We had Keith McHenry, who is one of the founders of Food Not Bombs, and I think Janie, you know, was really actually impressed by him, and you know, because he is a pretty good guy. You know what I mean? He's got a big heart. He's done things for the right reason. You know, he's been well educated, and growing food and, you know, feeding people. No, he was a good guest.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to listen to it. I wasn't available Saturday. So.
Yeah, so it was pretty good. It was a good show. And it was, oh my God, everything lit up. Okay, so as soon as Keith got on the show and we were talking, I had Janie. It was the first time, like, I've had a show that things, like, just totally started lighting up. Like, everybody that I have in my Skype, everybody that I, you know, was surprised there were quite a few people listening. And so they were all, like, sending me stuff in the private Skype, you know, like, oh, who's this? And blah, 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 blah. And everybody started chiming in. And then Hawk started chiming in. And, you know.
Sweet.
And so then we got him on so we could talk about his farm. And
it's an amazing farm. I've been there, like, 5 times.
Well, and he was talking about, you could hear it in his voice, how upset he was, because he said there's so much leftover food, and we can't give it away.
And they can. We even went up for a canning session. We had fun a couple of years ago. Quite a few. And we had 3 years of doing stuff just for the prepping, and the Hogsfest wore them out. So that was the thing that kind of ended the thing. Plus, it cost him money. People don't realize. Yeah. His electric bill, which I have seen personally, is over $500 a month. And if people bitch about the cost of running this station, they have no effing clue. So pardon me.
Well, anyway, but he came on, and you could just tell that, he was really passionate about this food thing too, and people not getting the food. And so it was just striking. I mean, it was kind of weird how a lot of people wanted to chime in about the issue. It was a trip.
Also, we've been taught that if it has a blemish, it's wrong. It's bad. You don't know. You cut into an avocado. You don't know if it's right or not. And then, some of the ones I've been seeing have bad, ugly, black stretches through them.
Well, the big topic on Saturday was that the people who need the food aren't being given the food because it's being thrown away or refused to be able to give the homeless people food. They're being denied, basically.
Well, what they did in Orlando, don't you?
That's where people really got, started getting fired up and started messaging me. I think everybody feels kind of like once people start finding out how much food is thrown away, it kind of shocks them. And that's kind of a thing I think.
Yeah, but it's not even going to a compost. It's going to a landfill.
Yeah, well, and it still usually has a lot of meat. I think
it could be fed to pigs or other creatures.
The recycling statistic nationally in the United States, I think 4 years ago, was that 40% of all stuff that landed into the landfill was out of the refrigerator. And something like 10% of it was meat that wasn't eaten. Or still in the package, or had gotten freezer burnt, or you know what I mean?
But you can't account for things that you don't know why they got there. But I get what you're saying. We are not responsible for our recycling or how we use our resources.
Yeah, we're buying all that meat and having all those animals treated the way that they're treated. I mean, citizens, by throwing away that much meat and stuff, you're paying these bad people to do bad agricultural stuff and bad things to animals. Either eat less meat or make sure you eat all the meat that you buy.
Well, but people put it in freezers and things, and time goes on, so there's usually some kind of intent that they're trying. You got to give them credit for that.
Right, but this is the story. There's a story that the deer and the bear
used to dumpster dive, man. I knew how much just the grocery stores threw out that I fed 5 families with.
No, but now they lock those dumpsters.
I know. Well, that was quite some time ago. It was like the middle 80s.
No, even into the 90s, you could go behind
oh, yeah, they'd set out packages knowing what I was doing.
It started, 2007 it really started to change, but before that, you could go behind Trader Joe's in the dumpster early in the morning, and you'd be shocked. The whole thing would be filled of food that wasn't even bad.
Wasn't even out of date.
No.
And some of it you didn't even have to worry about refrigerating and other things like that, but... yes, I've seen the waste. I've lived the waste, but I recycled the waste at the time I could. They have tightened the consciousness of humans so much. I mean, they couldn't even donate it to daycares or nursing homes or anything else like that. Now, of course, today I wouldn't probably eat 90% of that food except for the vegetables that they would throw out and products and, things like that.
Yeah, I was scarred. I had read a lot and I had taken classes and I was well aware of the feedlots, cow feedlots. But nothing can really actually prepare you until you see one. But actually, first, you can smell one 20 miles away as you approach it. And the smell gets worse and worse and worse till it's literally ungodly. And how they they put these animals into these, feedlots, and how like totally abused they are. And I was like literally horrified. I was literally horrified that people could drive by those places. And Kansas had a lot of them when I was traveling through there. It's because people are in their own feedlot. I mean, I was in Target, I don't know, 6 months ago. I won't go in there now because it scared me, but I went in there and there was all these people in line. And so going through the store and finally just getting the couple of things I needed. And I was in line and I realized like I was a cow being moved through a feedlot, because it's almost like how they set up even the ways that you walk through everything.
Yes, indeedy, I totally agree. We'll take
it's like
a break,
a feedlot, yeah.
And we'll be right back. Isn't that sad? At least there isn't a bullet hole at the end. We'll be right back.
Oh my God.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
The Secret Society Revealed. With your host, Joseph Atwell, author of Caesar's Messiah, The Roman Conspiracy to Invent Jesus, and Shakespeare's Secret Messiah, the groundbreaking discoveries that gives us a new understanding of how governments and elites use mind control to manipulate their subjects. Join Mr. Atwell as he lifts the veils of deceptions of our modern world. Mondays, 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time on Revolution Radio.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back, freedomslips.com, revolution.radio, and Haggy Shack. Keep in mind, y'all, you want to keep hearing those 3 o'clock ding-dongs, you want to pay. So go to the homepage and do the donate click, the donate click, the donate click. And don't forget archives, because there's many shows, different varieties of shows, from UFOs to whistleblowers to gardening. And here we are today with Miss Bridgette Dolgoff.
Yeah.
Dolgoff.
Yeah. No, when I was a kid, people would say, "Bridgette, your dog ran off."
Oh, that's kind of cute, though.
It could be a lot worse, how kids are.
Oh, well, I don't want to have those memories returned. Thank you.
I know, seriously.
All right. So, yes, I give permission for what you asked.
Okay. First, I wanted to talk about that Target thing. When I was standing in line and I was having to wait and all the lines were full, I thought, this is how they get cows to go through areas. Actually, they either prod them or they offer them like a snack or something at the end of the line to go through the maze. And I was thinking, but then they gave us digital ones and zeros in a banking account. That's, how they get us to go in there. But I almost had a panic attack and I almost had to leave the store. I almost wasn't able to stand in line. Kind of when I have that moment where, two realities collide into one. Then you realize like, oh, you're in the same boat as the feedlot cows. You just don't think you are. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to pump my Udemy classes because I'm really proud. I've been looking at trying to...
You have to hold on because all I've heard is you finagling something in your hands, and I couldn't hear what kind of class that you were trying to explain. It sounded like you said demi class.
No, okay, so Udemy is an online college, and a lot of people can teach lots of different stuff. So
okay, spell it just to make sure.
Yeah, UDEMY.com.
Okay.
So, I've tried alternative avenues. I tried, this one network that I was on for a TV show online, and I thought eventually we'll be able to, teach classes and, all this other stuff, and it just never really happened. I wanted to be able to teach workshops, through my network, and I thought it would be good for them because they could take a cut. People could pay for workshop. They're already doing, the video footage from the TV show and producing it. But anyway, it was like this whole thing. So it never really worked out. And locally, and I don't mean this on a mean level, but there's not enough conscious people here to take my classes. So I might get like one person that signs up, and I put tons of money into it.
Oh, I know. Mm-hmm.
But what I need is, because I'm talking about things that are like a little bit higher up, they're the stuff that's moving people out of the polarity. I wanted to be able to do something online where I could teach the classes and then people could take them and that, they could make money off of them or it was at a place instead of just me doing it and trying to find people to do it. So anyway, so eventually down the road, I found Udemy. And so I'm working on several curriculums in case anybody out there is interested. And these are things that a lot of this is like my work with some other people work, things that I've learned, it's like all a basic bottom line foundation of information. And then once it's up there, once it's all done, then people can just take the class. So I'm hoping for after 4th of July weekend to have it all up and going. I've gotten them all half done, but I've got 11 courses. So I'm going to tell people what the courses are because this would really, really help people, and they're not that much. Each course is like $60, but you get 5 parts. There's 5 curriculums under that course. So you actually get a lot. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching a prayer medicine class, which is going to cover like offerings and prayers, and maybe, temporary little medicine wheel prayers and things like that. And also, I use other plant medicines in some of my, prayer medicines, tobacco, smoke. So want to teach people about that. So, and then how to use them for prayer and healing. Then I'm going to be teaching a basics of nutrition course, which is like phenomenal. People should really know this stuff. Shamanism screening. I'm second in line to this teaching. So, it's a really awesome thing to learn, for people to heal themselves and heal other people. And I'm going to be teaching a dowsing class, replacing, muscle testing, because sometimes you need somebody else to help you, and it's not 100% really accurate because you're only gleaning information from the left hemisphere, and you need to be able to actually utilize both hemispheres to get all the data you need for your health and how you operate and how your operating system. So, and people can dowse for like allergies and stuff like that. They can They can use it for spiritual reasons. Sometimes, if I'm looking at fruit in the grocery store, I'll use my pendulum to pick out what is the best, fruit for me that week. You know what I mean? Or has the highest nutritional value. And you can kind of go around and check that stuff out. Then I'm teaching a compost as medicine, microbial medicine class on basics of making, compost for human ingestion, animal, land as medicine, because it'll cure anything. Then hydrotherapy, pituitary adjusters, teaching people how to use proper foot baths for different, things. Energy cleaning 101, generating power, health, healing animal pals, and pain management is the last one. Pain management class will have 8 parts, and it's going to go over a lot of stuff that people have zero idea about, and it'll give them tools. So if anybody's interested, hopefully by the end of July, I'll have all my classes up, and I'm going to get really excited. So I'm getting ready to actually start working on the curriculums. And there aren't a lot of classes out there that are going to be like these classes. They're way out of the mainstream box. So I'm hoping that Udemy will approve them all. They may, so anyway, so I'm excited to teach this stuff as well and give people, ideas and skills. And this would be really good. Some of these classes would be really good for those star kids out there.
Yeah, right.
Hint, hint, to help them. So,
yeah, no doubt.
So anyway, I'm excited about that.
Because the programming that they're receiving and received about what this Earth is, it's inornate. It isn't alive. Doesn't have energies in it. They're totally giving them and trying to sell them the wrong picture.
Yeah. Well, the hard part is though, when I was a kid, I already knew a lot of things about this planet because it wasn't, it was my first kind of rodeo here. So problem was I had to act normal, and I was thinking about this the other day when I was talking to a friend of mine. He said, like Mork and Mindy, like I was kind of Morky. And, but it takes a while, but they do kind of bend you a little bit to their system. But the part of trying to figure out what other people are doing, and trying to make normal like other people, I think for me was the hardest part as a star kid. Because it also was, when I was growing up, it was dangerous to be
different.
Really different, because most people who were mentally ill went into the mental health hospital because those weren't closed until the 80s. So, I still grew up in a system with a stigma of, especially as a woman, and you do anything that appears not normal, you'll go away and no one will ever see you again. Because that's what happened to my mom. So, she was handled and put into a mental hospital and damaged. Right. So, that's kind of like, nowadays you don't have to worry about that. I mean, you have to sign yourself into a mental health system. I mean, even if you're like cray, they still can't really hold you.
Well, by the definition, yeah. But...
Yeah. I mean, the gang stalking, they hide all those victims way in the back. Nobody sees those people at the mental health system.
Yeah.
It's the secret area.
The gaslight. Yeah, usually the basement, isn't it? Oh, I just don't even want to go there. Good old Reagan.
Yeah,
well, people were not let known. I had to investigate to get my information. I had to dig in deep, and all the right accoutrements that I needed came to me. It was a busy, packed, full existence. Oh my gosh!
And you did it with kids.
Children.
I'm doing it with me and my,
solo. Yes, I did it with children.
It's crazy, and it's tough
and adults and
yeah, because the system doesn't like and doesn't support people who want to see what else is out there, and so they make it like even harder. I can't even imagine with what they've done to me, like trying to have kids, raising a kid in a van. I mean, I just can't even. I mean, probably would be a really good childhood for them, better than most.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't disagree, but yeah, it would have been rough.
Yeah.
Because I had to do that, 2010. So that many years ago, I was up against that arrangement, and I couldn't do it. But she got off to a safe place, went to the best prestigious schools in this nation, Hershey School. I mean, she made out. So for my things that I couldn't work out to be who I knew I could do, being in society, you know, bank accounts, paying for the cable TV, taking the kid back and forth to school, etc., etc. But yeah, now I just feel that I'm happy to be free of all that, big time. She'll be 20 coming up, so it's not like, you know, she was really abandoned. The universe put her in a great place for what she wanted and what she needed. Now, I'm not saying she has the same common sense, because she didn't want to listen to me as a child. You know, because she had to rebel against me. I didn't know anything. When I had adult women coming and leaving their children and babies because they knew I was the only one they could trust with them, and they would come for sitting in the back garden of peace and quiet, no matter what kind of situations had happened. There was always peace and something to do and communications, and you know, I just don't have that anymore. So. But in a way, I'm very thankful I don't have that anymore.
Yeah, because you can move on to the next phase.
I'm over this last 7 years next phase. I do not want to be a passenger any longer, at all. I had a vision, and what happened is my van did a topple over a hill, and instead of me driving, I ended up in the passenger seat. Not a week later, after getting my daughter from Africa because she had warlords have a price on her head, they killed 3 of her Doctors Without Borders, that she had to come back from Kenya to the United States. It could have been Tanzania. She's been in so many different places because she was helping with the AIDS orphans and the grandmothers. And I mean, there was a good system. She'd send me jewelry, I'd sell it and give her money. I was one of her biggest supporters, but when she came back to the States and I had nothing to offer her, when she left a year later, she hated me. Because people get so astute to think that it all should be a certain way and manner, and by gosh and by golly, I could not be the one that they saw growing up with. So it wasn't me who couldn't handle it, it was them. And that's how people do it out there too. They just cannot live in the now, let go of the past, and just try to work now for a better future. We're all crazy and foobarred. So, yeah. Thinking? I think all the time. People go, you think? Yep, I'm thinking all the time. So, yeah, and I see society, because I'm a great-grandmother now. And I wonder if the child will be able to have children of the future. Did you ever see Child of Man, the movie?
No.
If you can, you see where I feel that there is a dimension of such destitute that we couldn't even procreate. And the whole generation that left off next didn't even have, there was no humanity for the future. Just because of the products that we eat and buy, and the air and the water and the food. Very sad. But I'm trying to make it better for whatever it is. And like you said, by the ceremony, the smudge pots and other things like that. Because I know that every effort that I create is going to create something afterwards, no matter what it is. So.
Yeah, have you ever seen that? I was just thinking of that movie, The Village by Shambhala. The guy, Shambhala. Isn't that his name, Shambhala? He's done some really trippy movies like The Woman in the Pool or whatever.
Oh,
so
that was an interesting one. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, well, The Village. Have you seen that one? That's a mind
I'll have to
F.
pick it up now.
A serious mind F. But when I watch that, you just are not prepared for kind of the the ending part. But it's so about, you know, people creating communities because they want to get away from bad things, and then there's, you know, mind control and getting through the mind control and all the different things that can happen. But it's a trippy movie.
The Postman with Kevin Costner. That was an interesting movie. The Postman.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
Oh yeah, but I remember as 8 or 9 years old watching this TV show, and it showed back in the time, think of Chaplin's era, Charlie Chaplin's era, all those kinds of clothes. And that they were actually supposed to be playing the future, but nobody's allowed to own books, medicines, you know, like herbs or things like that. Everything was so precise that society had to live like the norm. Oh, what was that? There was even a Schwarzenegger movie like that. Oh. But anyway, to where it's coming Orwellian now. This is what it is. When they take your books, when they cohabitate those who might not get along, like putting up Muslim communities or things like that in America or Sweden, and it's just a whole completely different mindset. So it's like, gosh, how could we just really allow this and not learn to be responsible for where we're at?
Yeah, well, but I mean, this is the thing. I think, I mean, haven't the Muslims and Christians haven't really on some of the more extreme sects, right? Because in every religion, you know, there's like 40 different sects, and some are violent and some are non-violent.
Right.
But I mean, hasn't like for like 5,000 years, you know, the Muslims and the Christians in our history been fighting each other?
Oh yeah, ever since rocks were found to hurt another.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's just a pattern again.
Yeah, but we don't have to.
No, we don't have to at all. No. Yeah.
That should literally be the lesson. But we can't even also excuse ourselves all the time because people don't see the validity of it. Now, people will say, I'm sorry, and it's like, wait a minute, the child was told to tell the other child you were sorry, but do you see the gleam in that child's eye that he intended to hurt that other child? And that's the way a lot of things go. We think we can just nonchalantly fluff it off like none of it has value of merit. And that is so wrong. I think that's why I'm not out in society like I used to be, because I would be probably more irritated than anything else like that.
Are you saying you're cranky?
Well, no.
You're cranky in public?
No, not at all. In fact, I bring peace to everywhere I go.
Okay.
That's not the issue. The issue is okay, I was a marketeer for 20-some years. I would sell my wares, and it was all herbal, fresh, basic. Nothing more, nothing less. No big deal about it. I had restaurants, and oh gosh, I was making good money. And then 2008 came. Wiped it out. So I tried to keep going, and it finally got to the point where I couldn't even support myself. But then again, I was also moving to North Carolina. But it's hard to do any kind of what we once knew sometimes. And I give you kudos if you can get all those done and that it gets done, because I did it and I just saw everybody off in their cell phones. Yeah, that's where their attention is, the cell phones. And we just really, I just ask for those who need me will find me. That's it. Except for my 5 days a week radio shows. Did I lose you?
No, I was just listening.
Whoa!
I was listening. People don't think I do that, but I do it.
Well, I'm really amazed for the Steiner part, because I've done a lot of and I'll say fighting, to keep nature in her own place instead of what society and corporations have figured to do better. Just very sad that there's even videos on my YouTube that we would go in front of the council and we would give them pure facts of information of what's going on. I was accused of giving some guy a heart attack. I mean, there were all these lies and accusations about me, but I would be standing in between the two fighting, trying to calm one down and get the other to not listen to the one that needs to calm down, or things like that. And it was still all by the money. It didn't matter how bad we were treating this planet. So the disrespect is also out the window, but the attention span for anybody? No, that's like a parking meter. It only goes to so far and then it shuts off and then you end up with a ticket of some kind. Oh. Over.
Yeah. I was just thinking about well, no, I was just thinking about, okay, so like in the control, so in the system,
right.
You know, I'm always hitting up against these hurdles, like Steemit. I had all kinds of problems trying to get a Steemit account because I don't have a cell phone and I don't get texting. I have a Skype phone number and I Skype, you know.
But then you can't receive text from a cell phone.
No, I can't do anything like that.
I don't like that.
Every account that you have to verify, so everything across the board, you have to, you know, have them be able to text you a code, and you have to go into your computer and put the code in. It's like, well, I can't do that. And it's like shocking to talk to people because people will be like, what? You don't text? No, I don't have texting. It's even worse than that. I don't have it. Because people will like call me and they'll be like, I've been sending you a text for like 3 weeks. I said I told you I don't text. I mean, there's just can't really comprehend that that person wouldn't have a cell phone.
Right.
And
but you got Facebook.
I do have Facebook.
That's how I text.
I mean, people can say all they want about Skype, but I like Skype.
Oh, I love Skype.
Skype has been a super useful tool in my life.
And Verizon wanted to charge me $7 a minute to call Kenya when my daughter was...
Yeah, I know. And you can get I think I pay like $170 a year for everything, but I get a phone number. I get voicemail. I can't leave my own voice on it, though. But it has somebody on there that's English that says I'm not there. Huh? So I have voicemail. You can leave a message. And I have like unlimited calling, I think, internationally. So
yeah, I didn't get that set up. I couldn't find it when I got my phone number.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is like it's only $170 a year. Mm-hmm. So it's like super.
$18 a month if.
Yeah, so I mean, why would I pay $50 a month for a cell phone? At the minimum.
I know, that is the minimum.
But anyway, they're going to have to figure out how to, you know, deal in business without somebody that has see, that's the other thing, too. Talk about the transhumanism.
Oh, the cash.
This whole thing, you know, with you having to verify everything with codes means that you can't ever set your, you know, phone down because you may have to verify your email. You may have to verify getting in, you know, Facebook. You may have to verify getting...
Oh, my gosh, that makes me cringe.
Yeah, so it makes it, you know, like you're, you know, have to be attached to it all the time.
I have a great story about just hearsay, but I believe the hearsay because it was on Cosmic Reality Radio. This woman had a major auto accident and she couldn't get out of the situation, but her friend decided to somehow get her. Her name is Dottie Shungite. So she's now all into it. She has grown exponentially, I guess that's how you'd say it, exponentially, in healing. But she put the cell phone, there's S4 stickers with the Shungite cell phones. And they work. I've seen the text, electronic information. I've seen the proof, okay? And what she did, she puts her intent into the phone, something that can harm you desperately because of the electronic stuff, you know. And with the Shungai sticker on, though, she's actually healing others with it and herself. She would get bit by mosquitoes after sitting outside, and she would ask the phone to please help heal these bug bites. And within less than 10 minutes, the bug bites are gone, when normally they would last weeks. So it's so interesting to see that certain levels of knowledge and information are actually, even though she's taken care of so she doesn't have to have the EMF radiation by having it in her hand or whatever, you know, like you were saying, having to be around it all the time. But this sticker has actually the power to reverse not just the EMF for the phone, but to use it to help heal other things outside itself. So we'll be right back.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
What the heck is the truth, Jihad? Hey, I'm Kevin Barrett, host of Truth Jihad Radio. Federal prosecutors, Department of Homeland Security agents, and curious passersby often ask me, just what is this truth jihad thing anyway? Well, everybody knows what truth is, but jihad is a misunderstood term. Jihad means effort or struggle. The greater jihad is the struggle to be a better person, while the lesser jihad is the struggle to defend the community. Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, did say that the best jihad is a word of truth flung in the face of a tyrant. And that's what we do here at Truth Jihad Radio. Every Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 7 Pacific, right here on Revolution Radio.
We talk about decentralization and bank annihilation. Bitcoin, Litecoin, MyCoin, Your Coin, blockchain, baby. Mondays at 1600 hours Eastern, Studio A.
Find some comfort at Willow's World. A variety of news, commentary and poetry at Willow's Poetry Corner, where there are comfy cushions and a tempting selection of delectable comestibles. A show that's quirkily and quintessentially British, with a unique twist featuring Willow Andreasen, your host. Join Willow, Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. EST, Studio B.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Digging holes and carrying stones. Is that the name of it? Did I lose you?
Nope, you got me. I was thinking about the at the end of that conversation, the lady using the AI in the phone.
Well, you think it was the AI, really?
Yeah, because the Taoist people, when I was there, called the creator like the great computer in the sky.
Cool.
Because it had the everything, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, but then who programmed that? Go ahead.
Well, right. I mean, there's a whole other thing on that, but the AI has been around for a super, super long time. It's just some of its programs have been hijacked. But I think it will get better. I think people that are talking to it through their phone are talking to some form of the AI. And I'm sure that now it can respond, in different ways.
Well, she was talking to the Shungite. The Shungite would have a little more influence on creating the harmony than an AI. But then if the AI picks up on something and it passes it all around to the networks, we're all right with that.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was a guy, I don't know if I sent it to you, the X-22 report. And this guy was just amazing. Number one, I forget what the guy's name was. I wish I could remember it. But he was really professional. He was really super good. But they were talking about how they were developing the AI for cryptocurrency platforms and what these platforms would be able to do. And I was like, holy moly. Holy moly. Like, that's incredible, to actually hear, positive things that are being done with it, that can make major changes and like literally end poverty, like worldwide, free up our time, like do all kinds of just amazing things. And this guy worked for a company. Anyway, I think I sent that video to you.
I don't know. I don't always
I can't remember.
Videos.
Yeah, but it was phenomenal. Because here they are spinning in a good way. I mean, with intelligence and, wanting to make life easier for people. They're working with the AI. They're like, alchemist magicians, right? On the internet, and how they work with everything. So anyway.
I'd rather not have a future of that nature, but I know where we've come to from where I was once.
Well, this is the thing. To me, it didn't sound that bad, when he was talking about at least the money systems, because it would totally eliminate the banks.
Well, yeah, but that's only making another bank. I mean, who's setting the value for each of the items to pertain what should be the good exchange?
Well, that's what cryptocurrency is. It's the labor of each person that has it.
Oh, so yeah, there's some more Orwellian. Yeah, I was listening to a video about how, I think it might have been Max Ingham, that every move we make, we're going to get charged it. And if we don't put some kind of power into the system, just like what I think about the Bitcoin. I have a pot coin, but anyway, I don't follow it. I don't know what it is, and it supposedly supported I forget the guy's name who went to North Korea, basketball, transgender kind of guy.
Oh, Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the only way I remember him. Okay, Dennis Rodman. And so I like Potcoin, but otherwise I don't know how to do the system to become a part of it. But it doesn't seem right to me. It just doesn't. I've always dealt in cash. And when I had to get credit to do my business because they wanted everything paid by credit, it hurt me. I did not like it. I was not a happy camper whatsoever. But that's the way it goes. And now I have neither because I couldn't pay the monthly fees to be in the bank. But how would you pay to buy your Bitcoin? Through a bank. So, see, the system still is being worked out, but it's like, who's still...
No, banks don't, in the U.S., don't deal with cryptocurrency at all.
You still have to get that money somehow to buy the Bitcoin.
Right. So, but there's phenomenal movements in this kind of stuff. There's these guys called the crypto cowboys. I don't know everything about them, but I've been learning more and more because I want to move my businesses into... cryptocurrency, why
it
wouldn't
should be
I?
Everything.
I mean, I could put one on my website where people can, pay for sessions or, donate or whatever else in whatever currency they want to use, if they want to throw down some Bitcoin or, whatever. So
I think the biggest thing you'll know when it happens is when PayPal accepts Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I mean, the banks are going to be forced to actually have to deal in cryptocurrency because people have moved their, a lot of U.S. dollars out of the U.S. market. That's why.
But it's not really been the banks as much as it has been the Uber Goobers above them who control all the rules and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean,
every coin has its own, system. So there isn't like one Bitcoin. There isn't one cryptocurrency system. So each cryptocurrency is worth different, prices. It's backed by different things. And for example, let's just talk about Steemit. So when you blog and you blog consistently and you follow others and they follow you, you make what's called a Steemit coin.
Right.
And so the steam of it, the labor of it is from you because you took the time to go and post something. Okay. So you slowly over time build up Steemit coins or a type of cryptocurrency, which you can get a wallet for online, and you could literally turn it into something else. Now, Russia has a whole online shopping mall that they are now taking cryptocurrency. I just don't know how much it would cost you to ship it from Russia to the United States. But you could use, I think China is going that direction and putting like a online shopping mall so that you could use your coins that way, or you could exchange it into another cryptocurrency. Now, the crypto cowboys, these guys are smart. I mean, just unbelievable smart. And I love seeing all these techies leave the control techie system and come out and, use their intelligence, their genius, and start working in behalf of the people, kind of deal. But the crypto cowboys are very much that way. And they're building a platform that you'll be able to get one of their wallets or bank accounts, and you'll be able to exchange any cryptocurrency you want into gold, and they'll even have a service that delivers the gold to your house when you want to cash out your cryptocurrency. Because they don't think that there's any other, good standard to hold other than solid gold as well. So it's amazing. Like most of my life, I didn't really care about the government or the financial world or history. When I was younger, I was involved in a lot of other stuff, but as I've aged, I've become, really involved in it. And the more I learn about cryptocurrency, the more amazing I think, and how brilliant some of these people that are involved with it, and building new platforms for people to keep their labor, to keep their energy, to keep their wealth,
But they're not. See, the whole thing is that the grid is being used by corporations to charge us for things we shouldn't even be paying for. And it will be taken before you even get a chance to hold it. See, I just...
But that's not the cryptocurrency world. So the whole thing is the financial system has changed, and now we hold the cards to that financial system. I'm even considering what they're saying is in the future, everything will have kind of its own cryptocurrency, and so you'll have to pay it in that cryptocurrency. So it has to be value to value.
Well, that's where everything's gone wrong. There's less silver on the planet than gold, but gold has its highest return value. What the heck is that? I mean, and then we're just still polluting to get these kinds of things. How much energy does it take to run these machines to get the Bitcoin? I mean, I get the system, I get what you're saying, but until we find a true balance worth that everything should be equal, it shouldn't be separated. And because it's still competition, we're still slaves, we're still playing to somebody else's party of how we're supposed to live on this planet. That's BS.
Right, but there's also the polarity where people have to have money to pay their rent.
I get that. I get all that, but see, that's still part of the problem.
How do people people, right? But there just has to be adjustment. And I used to be down on cryptocurrency. I was pretty hardcore down on it. But the more that I've been learning about economics and the new systems that are coming up online, actually, the more excited I've become about.
Well, that's good. It's part of your generation. See, I believe all this tech came in when my children, who are going to be, one's 20, one's going to be 40, and that they were born to do this. This was all supposed to happen. This tech stuff was supposed to help us ascend a little higher in getting a wider view of consciousness. But has it? And for the technology that they've used against it, look at the drones. They're flying from, or they're being joysticked from Tampa, Florida, and killing innocent people in Afghanistan. I mean, this is just all wrong. The intent has been control, power, and suicide. And
but the thing you have to remember is there's allow. People on this planet are allowing that to continue.
Well, I think taxes need to stop, too, because that's what's paying for it all.
Yeah.
And
well, anyway, there was also another video I sent you yesterday from Keith Hunter, who's I think he's a financial guy. Anyway, he has a channel on YouTube, and he had a guy on there that was really, really interesting, Dr. Jana or something like that, and they were talking about how that whole system right now is, being dissolved. Anyway, it was a super great interview. I don't know if you listened to it.
No.
Greg Hunter and Dr. I think his last name was Jana, but that was super good about what's going on worldwide and the actual, things that are happening physically of the dismantling. So it was fantastic. It was a really, positive, it was good. Anyway.
Well, that's interesting. I'm sure more people should probably hear it.
Yeah.
Or watch it or listen to it. I mean,
well, and we're finally starting to get news, like people are starting to finally come out of the woodwork, and starting to openly talk about, and I think because more people are kind of gaining confidence because more of the bad guys are going away. So more and more people are coming out, in economic platforms and cryptocurrency platforms and, all different places, and there's just amazing new information that's coming out and people talking more about them seeing, what they're seeing in their neck of the woods and the takedown of the old system.
Yeah, Mr. Rowe on Monday, Studio A, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. He does the crypto show. He's on tonight, too, but otherwise, he's all into it. He knows what he's talking about, but I'm just like, I'd rather pay somebody to play for me, okay? Because otherwise, I just don't want to get all that Tron in my head. Did you ever see the movie Tron?
I did.
Okay, so you catch my drift. So, no, I want to go talk to my plants and say hi to the hummingbirds, I played all those games. I'm over them. Now
you're retired.
Well, probably it seems that way, yes. But I didn't pay into the system like society. I am really feeling it. And that's okay. But when I'm considering what is out there, that it's not a foundation anymore. There's nothing that I can literally rely on except my faith of spirit to know that I am under a bigger plan that knows better for what is occurring with me. That's all I can do. And that's okay. I feel good about it, no matter what. There's little corners, all kinds of places, but that's all right, too. Yeah. Yep, it's rather interesting the way life has become for many people. I mean, many people. They still think the system is working in their favor.
Yeah, they do.
And they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to know any little part of the structure. Like, what is it, the strawman thing? Where we really each had a birthright of financial covering, and instead it was stolen by the government? Isn't that the straw man
so
thing?
I remember this. Yeah, no, it's your corporation name basically because they made you into a trust because you were born as a live commodity out of the birth of a ship at the dock, and the dock was the attendant. The dock attendant made a registry of your birth at the hospital, making you a commodity. So that's straw man.
Oh, that pisses me off.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I knew that. That's what I just tried to say to you. Exactly.
You're all
That's
mad at me.
No, that was good. No, you explained it very well because people don't recognize the verbiage that's used in all these different segments of society, and it all means the same.
Yeah, so doctors are fake. They're not real. They're dock attendants. When the corporation came around and they made all these jobs and all these, structures, and credentials for them, then so doctors were dock attendants. They were to register the birth and the death so that the government can get paid on your birth or your death. Start a trust for you, the straw man trust, right? They start a trust for you.
They've allowed corporations to do that to their employees, too.
Well, did you know that, for example, this kind of, so this was like, I don't know how long ago, maybe like 10 years ago. I was working with a lot of common law people, a lot of people that were starting to do, the mortgages and want the wet signature and, kind of a big start of the common law movement. So, I forgot where I was going to go. Oh, so we had some older people who the state, kept serving them and was trying to take their house. So we got these people out of San Diego to actually help do the legal paperwork in court that would be like irrefutable, and the bank would have to back off on it. Like they'd never have the title to their house, but they could never be evicted, right? And they would own it, and they could actually, pass it down if they died to somebody else. Kind of a thing. That's kind of like how they got them to stay in there. But when we were looking, they hired this ex-FBI guy, and he would go in and look at the QSIB numbers, for them, for different people. And when they had gotten the loan for this house, and both her and him signed on it, they're an older married couple, the bank took out a bond in each one of their names for $350 million and in a hedge fund. So no matter what, they were always going to be paid for that piece of land.
That's downright murder.
Because they run your trust, so they can do bonds with it because you're like a country. You're like a sovereign country. Your trust is. Yeah. And then they end up taking it after they've made all this money, and literally, yeah, it's unbelievable, really.
Well, I did have a friend who was under that same juncture, and when the judge saw that there was no clear title, that's exactly what he did for her. So she got to keep her 5 acres.
Yeah.
House on it.
I mean, quite a few people did really well on it, but some people ended up, having worse case, because the police got more violent towards them and things like that.
Yeah, they're just bill collectors anymore.
Yeah, nope, that's the...
bill collectors, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of sad.
Well, everything's turned not in our favor.
It's true. Well, I don't know,
Societal-wise, think about it, literally.
Yeah, I mean, societal-wise, but me, I feel like on a personal level, I feel like I don't think I've ever felt better in my life. I'm going to be 50 this year. I don't think I've ever felt clearer. I think I've really, dialed in, diet, and just really focused and conscious, kind of a thing, and really excited about being able to teach classes and just lots of different stuff. So for me, maybe there's some of us that have to make that turn first to pull the rest of the energy with us, right? But
the biggest thing is do it for yourself.
It's true.
Don't do it for anything else, because I know the cost it does because every one of my classes was hands-on. They did what I was doing, and they took stuff with them.
Yeah. Well, they'll they get a lot of stuff online because I'll put practices and assignments and stuff up there. So they can definitely learn on their own. But yeah, so I just really feel like in my life, I think, I think I've got it all together, and my mind is good and my spirit is good. And I feel like for me personally, like it's been a long, hard, difficult, really heinous road at times. But I feel like, for me on a personal level, I'm turning that corner,
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. I spent 50 years in Florida and had to leave. So I got to do the coast, though. I got to do the West Coast. Never been. So from Sacramento to Eugene, Oregon, down to LA, it was one of the best 8 weeks of my life. Mount Shasta and all that. Very, very interesting time of my existence. Yep.
Yeah. I've drove all the way down the coast, like as close to the ocean as possible, all the way down Washington, all the way down to the tip of San Diego.
Yeah, I should have some pictures. I'm not really 100% certain. On my Facebook, there was spirits in them redwoods, baby. I'm telling you, it was.
Oh.
And the orbs.
Yeah. The whole environment underneath those trees, it's like just a trip.
The one hill that's actually in the middle of San Francisco was a very, very interesting place to go to, because it's still got some redwood in it, even though they've cut down a lot of the redwoods. It's so sad. But it's a different time. That was 2010 or 11, one of them years. So I can only imagine what's going on through all the different other ways that we've been receiving information, Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep, yeah. Yep, the wind has been interesting. There's been wind, like, during the day. Like, kind of at the exact time, and it picks up pretty heavily. And then it goes away right around dusk. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a strange phenomenon. Oh, and guess what? Those booms, those underground booms, we've been getting them here. Even my one roommate heard it 2 days in a row. He started listening and feeling them under the ground. And so they started on Friday. We had 16 of them. It felt like, there was a plane flying underground and then dropped a bomb, and then a bomb hit underground. Boom.
Whoa.
And so there were 16 of them. My dog was terrified. So Friday there was a lot of them. And then every day after that, and yesterday there were 6, but they were closer to where we were at, and they were like, boom. You could less hear them and just feel it. So we counted 6. So, who knows what happened? I just don't know what those sounds are. So everybody else has been hearing them. Maybe, I might actually have to admit that maybe they're blowing up underground bases, right? Because I'm pretty sure it's not an earthquake sound. When you're on glaciers, when I was doing a lot of mountain climbing, and on a glacier and you camp out, they kind of crack and moan. They don't make a boom sound, when the plates are moving and changing. They moan kind of more.
All I could hear the other night was like somebody was trying to push in a big piling. Like bam, ding, bam, ding. Now, if they're going to put up a tower around here, I'm going to be pissed. Because I'm on a nice top of a mountain on an acre and so property. And there is no towers here.
Well, you got to watch those 5G towers because they're different. And within the last month around Reno, they've put them up. I've counted 30. And they're totally different than the cell phone towers. I mean, at this Jackson Food Mart, they had 2 right out front. I did a video on my YouTube channel. I couldn't believe it. I was like, the people that work in there must be
the ones
so
that
sick.
I have where there's 2 of the cell phone towers, and they have the big microwave part on it, and then in the middle is the police station.
Oh my God!
With their antennas. Oh yeah. I have, but I'm over half an hour away from there, so.
It's terrible in town right now. It terrifies me. Like, and when I go in town, I don't really feel very good. I feel kind of disconnected, and so, you know, it's good to live outside of town, and
yep,
because that bombardment is really it's making people crazy because nobody's sleeping. You know, those cell phone towers and that energy that they emit, they really like damage your brain. You know, they cook. That's a microwave radiation in the 5G, and the 5G is faster, so it penetrates everything and destroys things faster.
Well, it's a constant pulse. It's not just
talk about
on and
damage
off.
Your brain. Yeah, and then you got the constant pulse through your TV because you got a smart TV. You got a constant pulse through your phone. You know, like you get all these pulses coming from all directions. It's like people can't even think, and people are angry.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Just wait. I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were saying, like, you know, especially in America, they're going to be shocked when everything falls apart because nobody's going to believe what happened, you know?
Yeah, no doubt there. Well, thanks. It was a joy.
All right. Bye, Mona.
All right. Later. Thank you, dear.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at higher risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let's imagine if you glimpsed the future, were frightened by what you saw, what would you do with that information? You would go to who? Politicians? Captains of industry? And how would you convince them? Data? Facts? Good luck. The only facts they won't challenge are the ones that keep the wheels greased and the dollars rolling in. But what if there was a way of skipping the middleman, putting the critical news directly into everyone's head? The probability of widespread annihilation kept going up. The only way to stop it is to show it. To scare people straight. Because what reasonable human being wouldn't be galvanized by the potential destruction of everything they've ever known or loved? To save civilization, I would show its collapse. How do you think this vision was received? How do you think people responded to the prospect of imminent doom? They gobbled it up like a chocolate eclair. They didn't fear their demise. They repackaged it. It can be enjoyed as video games, as TV shows, books, movies. The entire world wholeheartedly embraced the apocalypse and sprinted towards it with gleeful abandon. Meanwhile, Earth was crumbling all around you. You've got simultaneous epidemics of obesity and starvation. Explain that one. Bees and butterflies start to disappear. The glaciers melt. Algae blooms all around you. The coal mine canaries are dropping dead, and you won't take the hint. In every moment, there is the possibility of a better future, but you people won't believe it. And because you won't believe it, you won't do what is necessary to make it a reality. So you dwell on this terrible future and you resign yourselves to it. For one reason, because that future doesn't ask anything of you today. Because that future doesn't ask anything of you today. Yes, he saw the iceberg,